Hey, Jantans and Jantanites, it's Jason Desmond from the Jantan Collective with another very interesting chat on what's up with that. This is where we question, we learn, and most importantly, we grow. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. Comment especially because we love hearing from you. Maybe it might have been something that we talked about before, or it's something that you are passionate about and you want us to talk about it. Tell us all about it. Well, we want to hear from you. Now, as of a few weeks ago, the market value of cryptocurrency has surpassed $2 trillion. That should be in the US dollars, right? But seriously, $2 trillion. That's a heck of a lot of money. What's up with that? Now, because of that, let's find out what is cryptocurrency, what's the hype around it, and also how can you make a shitload of money with it, right? Now, to tell us all about it today, we have with us George Wong, blockchain advisor, acting chief strategy officer for We Tokenize, cryptocurrency guru and advocate. George, thank
Hey,
you for joining us. You have a lot of titles to your name. Some of it's like I love the part where you said, "Let's not be." I don't like trust these guru names and everything. Why not be a cryptocurrency guru, George? Come on, you're into this so deeply, right?
well, there are way too many scammers who call themselves gurus, so I don't want to be
Gurus, right? Yeah,
emo.
right.
Sorry, yeah,
Okay,
rather not be that. Yeah.
but let's stick to cryptocurrency advocate, right? So,
Mm.
but before that, let's go back a bit. How long have you been in this industry?
I would say 2017, probably the
Oh,
worst year to start, because that's when the prices crashed and it was a bad time and it
hmm.
stayed on a lull for a while. But yeah, I've been around since 2017, still doing it despite a lot of people I've met throughout these years who stopped because it went down.
Hmm.
That happens.
Wait, you got in when it was high and then it suddenly crashed, is it?
I got in around there. And that was and when I started, I didn't plan to get into cryptocurrencies, right? I mean, the first thing I said when people told me about Bitcoin was Bitcoin's a scam. That was the first thing I said.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That's the show. No.
So I was pulled to it in 2017, and for those who were there, they know that 2017 was when it peaked and actually crashed. So I was there throughout the down.
Right.
So probably not the best time to get started when everything's on the down. I wasn't exactly riding the high, lah, so to
Mm.
speak. But
I
yeah, so
remember
that's
in
where I started.
2017, I was working for a financial radio station,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of hype on it, right, at that particular
Mm,
time. And
yeah.
um, a lot of it was very Bitcoin, and I think it was partly Ethereum at that particular time, where everyone was starting to talk a lot about it. And
Mm-hmm.
then a lot of legislation started to get into, I don't know, people who didn't know much about it started to want to talk about it, but they didn't know much about it. But
Right.
why did you choose to be in this industry? What were you doing before that?
I was always in investments and capital raising, and so what happened was really odd. I was pulled in to manage a fund, who told us that it's a very complicated thing. So I'm not a fund manager, so I'm
Hmm.
not licensed for any of that. But because I have a lot of experience doing startups, business development, marketing, so the fund wanted help to manage some of its portfolios, right? Some of its investments that it
Was
did.
it too diverse that you needed someone to just figure it out?
Because you see, sometimes when a fund acquires a business, and if
Hmm.
let's say the founders exit, they need someone with business
Oh,
experience
I
to
see. I
kind of
see.
help, right? So
Right,
that was
right.
one of the bases. And then one thing led to another, and then suddenly the fund decided to pivot entirely into cryptocurrencies,
Hmm.
right? So I was just tagging along with my business partners then, and I when we were pulled in to do this ICO at that time, my first thing was like, man, are you sure? Because this sounds like a scam.
Dodgy as fuck at this point,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about blockchain. I didn't know shit lah. Okay.
Hmm.
Basically, I knew absolutely nothing.
So you're a fund guy, right? As
Mhm.
you are a fun guy, but you're in funds, right? And then they just said you need to learn all you can about this because this is where we're getting into.
That's not the worst part. I actually had to write the white paper.
Oh God.
I actually wrote the entire white paper in a week, and drafted the thing from Chinese, which I do not speak or write or read, and I had to use Google Translate their very dodgy draft white paper, and
Exactly.
and I had to actually formulate the entire business plan and everything in English in a week. And that was me not knowing anything about blockchain. So
Wow.
I had to force myself to study the
Mm.
actual tech in a very short amount of time. But it was a good learning experience because I forgot what it was like to cram study. That was that was an experience I won't forget, especially in tech. And I'm not a programmer.
Mm.
Caveat: I don't do any coding. I understand technology, but I don't do any of the tech stuff. My business partners do that, right?
Right.
So I had to figure out that I had to write the entire thing and prepare it for our ICO marketing, etc. So yeah, that
Did it
was
work though?
yeah, we completed the ICO in by 2018. We did fundraising as well, and at that time, it's a gray area because you are raising funds for something that wasn't regulated,
Yeah.
right? So governments didn't know what to do with it. You're not exactly raising it for any kind of security. So it was that gray area period where everyone was just raising money. So and we were raising it out of the country. I was in China. I was in various parts of Southeast Asia actually, and we didn't do much in Malaysia
Mm.
because at that time I think Malaysia is always a bit slow. We do
Yeah.
have advocates, but generally the market's still a bit slow. So we did have some activities here. We completed the ICO, and then after that, once it was done, and then the business started, I kind of left after that, lah.
Right. Okay.
And
So
I
now
did
you're
other
you're
projects. Yeah.
doing on you're on your own now, and but you're still dabbling in crypto.
I am part of a company called We Tokenize,
Mm.
not the exchange tokenized, but we're called We Tokenize.
And it's chief
Unfortunately,
strategist officer there, though, right?
yeah, acting chief strategy officer. Because the reason I said acting is because we are applying for the new license, the IEO operator license that was introduced by the SE,
Mm.
and that's very interesting. I think a lot of people don't know about this license and don't know the potential
Yeah.
that for Malaysian business with this license, right? So, and of course, if we get it, then it's good. I think we're competing against a lot of big boys. I believe guys like AirAsia, MyEG, they're all applying for it as well.
Right.
So, and you know, Malaysia licensing is limited. So if we get it, it's actually going to be big for Malaysia. Actually, I think if Malaysians paid attention to this space now, especially with this license, we
Mm.
can actually be a Southeast Asian giant in the crypto space. But that's only if businesses and Malaysian entrepreneurs actually bite onto this. But I think most people are not paying any attention to it. But
Right.
hopefully the license comes out soon.
I
Yeah,
think a lot of people don't pay attention to a lot of what's going on with crypto in general is because
yeah.
they hear about it in the news, much like you. A lot of people, and I know a lot of people
Mhm.
who are very smart people, degrees and doctorates in multiple things and everything. The moment you mention cryptocurrency, what the fuck is that? That's the main thing that people ask you, right? Basically, let's get back down to basics, really.
Right.
What is cryptocurrency? If you had to break it down, what is cryptocurrency? Where did it even start? Was it Bitcoin? Was it the first one?
Yeah, well, Bitcoin was the first one, and I think I want to make a distinction between digital currency and cryptocurrency,
Right.
because that's the main problem. I think most people think that Bitcoin is a scam,
Mm.
and that's the main distinction. So digital currency is basically just numbers on a screen, which the government can control. So if today the government says I want to print more money, they
Mm.
can actually change the total supply, go through the banking system, distribute more cash into the market, right?
Right.
Because nowadays money, you're not looking at actually printing cash anymore. Everything is digital.
Yeah.
That's digital money per se. Now, digital money has a few characteristics. Number one, governments control it.
Mm.
Number two, technically, it doesn't happen, but technically someone could hack a system and change that number, right?
Okay.
You can change, so you can go and hack into my account. Theoretically, you could change my balance. You can just
Okay.
change the number in theory, right?
Right. Right.
And that's because that's how it's designed. And on the other hand, cryptocurrency is protected by cryptography, and it's not controlled by government,
Right.
right? So that's the thing. So and the entire system is actually protected by, like, okay, let's use in the instance of Bitcoin, right? So you hear about people doing Bitcoin mining. Now, what the
Yes.
hell is that
Yes.
for, right?
Yeah.
Because there's nobody actually mining
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So they have this Bitcoin machine, and what it does is that it plays kind of a complex game. And
Mm.
when and every machine is using processing power to complete this so-called game. And if you complete the game, you actually build a block, right? Hence blockchain. And
Right.
that block is made up of transactions. That means whenever someone makes let's say for example he transfers Bitcoin from one guy's wallet to another, there is actually a verifier, right? So that verification process is done by a guy with a mining machine. So
Okay.
some guy in, let's say, Korea has a Bitcoin mining machine. His computer is actually verifying your transaction.
So basically, he's lending his computing power for this particular job, and then he's getting paid for it.
Yes, he's getting paid in Bitcoin,
Right.
right?
Not one Bitcoin, because one Bitcoin is like
It
250,000
depends lah.
ringgit,
It's
right?
a fraction of it, right? So
Okay. Okay. Right.
based on current and it's by design. So the thing is that there's no way for the Bitcoin system, for example, for a government to say, hey, I want to make another 10,000 Bitcoins just like that. It
Yeah,
can't be.
because I heard there's like whoever it is who designed Bitcoin
Mhm.
set a limit or something, right?
Yes. So there's a limit to the total number of Bitcoins that can be mined. And how he controls that is that every 4 years, he reduces the output capacity of the mining by 50%,
Wow.
which happened last year. It's called the
Okay.
halving. They've got fancy names for all this, all these things, right? So
Right.
what the halving means is that, let's say, if you have 10 Bitcoin miners, example, and before the halving, you could let's say mine 10 Bitcoins every month.
Hmm.
After the halving, the same number of machines can only mine 5 Bitcoins a month,
Right.
right? So it reduces that output, right?
Okay.
So that also reduces the quantity available in the market, which drives the price up.
I see.
Yeah,
Because higher demand, less supply.
correct. So it's
Okay.
a lot of cryptocurrencies actually have a system of fixing the supply, right? Fixing the supply. That's to give the price higher value. Now, having
But
said that,
is it like just some number they come up with, or
it's okay. So every blockchain project, cryptocurrency project, or whatever, in terms of the number of tokens or cryptos, the supply is set upfront. Like you will set. So some cryptocurrencies are set to keep mining perpetually. There's no end to it. Others
okay?
are set to have a limit. So the problem with the cryptocurrency and blockchain industry is that everyone is making up their own rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone. So
Right.
you can get a new guy who says, hey, I'm doing a new blockchain project, but his rules are entirely different than, let's say, Bitcoin. So that's the problem, right? So because it's so open-ended, a lot of scammers or money game, etc., have taken the same thing and given the entire industry a bad name. When the
Right.
purpose of Bitcoin originally was to create a form of currency that is not controlled by a central bank.
Right.
That's the key lah, right? That was
Okay.
the whole concept lah. So that it's like a democratic money, and who
Yep. Yep.
manages the money is the people, right? Instead of banks. Who verifies the transactions is the people instead of a bank.
On the
So that
public
was the
ledger that
whole
we
reason for
keep hearing
that.
about.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So it's slightly Wild West if you think about it. Everybody has their own rules.
Yes, it is. As I tell people, we are in that phase where cryptocurrencies are coming out of the Wild West. Now, here's the part that I think is interesting. We are at that point where we are getting strong market adoption. I don't know if you heard of the technology, kind of like an S curve.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So you know that based on that theory that if it took 10 years for technology to get 10% adoption, it'll take another 10 years for 90% adoption, right?
Right.
So we are probably at that 10% mark right now, which means that in the next 10 years or so, you will see 90% of people in the market actually using cryptocurrencies or blockchain in some form or another, maybe even without realizing it. So
Right.
we're kind of there right now. That's why all the institutions are coming in, etc. More rules are in place, more standards are being there. And actually, recently, there are less people who talk about cryptocurrencies as a scam, mainly because they see a lot of people making money from it. So they
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
how do I want to make money from it? That's
Like
the current
legit
state
money.
now.
It's not like
Yeah.
some like they scam someone out of it, right? Because every time I hear of cryptocurrency, there's a new one popping up constantly. It's just
Mhm.
from this country to that country, but it's still Bitcoin is still. I don't know whether is Bitcoin still king.
Bitcoin is more than half the entire market cap
Oh,
of cryptocurrencies, right? So if that's the reason why Bitcoin is still talked about, why it's still dominant. It doesn't mean it has the most gains percentage wise compared to some of the others in the market, but because of its dominance, it's like the US dollar of cryptos.
right.
Yeah.
So how many are there? I mean, like right now, if you were to really try to figure it out, right? How many types of cryptocurrencies are out there? Like I I know of Bitcoin, and I think most people would have heard of Bitcoin mainly because of the amount of press it gets. But
Mhm.
also, I've heard of Ethereum, but those are the two big ones, though, right?
Yeah, I would say that if you want to count there, you would probably lose count.
Serious,
Yeah, yeah. Some people say there are 5,000, some people say there are 10,000. I believe there are more because those are the ones that are listed on some kind of list or an exchange. But what you don't see is a lot of coins which are not listed at all, but it's in circulation as well through private exchanges, etc. So it's very hard for you to very definitively say how many coins there are out there because in theory, they have made coin issuances so easy right now. Certain platforms allow you to do a WYSIWYG drag and drop, put in some parameters, you can issue your own coin as well, right? It's not like you need to have a big development base to go and start making your own coin.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to make your own blockchain, yes, you still probably need to have a big development team, or if you want to customize it for certain parameters or a business use case, then you need a team. But if you just want to issue a coin just for the heck of it, like what Dogecoin is, right? So Dogecoin is what the eighth most um, market cap token or cryptocurrency in the world, I guess, right now, and it has absolutely no key function when it was introduced. In fact, it was, if you read on Dogecoin, it was just a joke. Like the guy who created Dogecoin was trying to kind of like take a, like a stab at Bitcoin, right? So he made a coin that did nothing, and all it has was a Shiba dog image
Right, right.
coin. That was it. The thing is, people bought it when he issued it.
Why?
I can't answer you that
That's
question.
amazing.
I asked the same thing myself, and it's now one of the largest market cap coins in the world.
That's
But the guy who
crazy.
created it doesn't actually have much coins. That's the
That's
sad part.
even worse.
That's even worse, right? Because it's his whole basis was actually to mock Bitcoin, but then so he kind of just let the thing go, and it was the people who bought it who controlled it. So that's the thing about cryptocurrencies. Doesn't mean that you're the founder, you have any control, right?
Right.
It's a very democratic process if it's done right. So if there's enough traction for it, so in early days, people who love dogs bought it because it was really cheap. They said, "Oh, I like dogs and I like Shiba dogs," so I bought it. They didn't do anything with it. You couldn't make payment with it. I mean, it has some of the functions of cryptocurrencies, but people were not accepting payments in Dogecoin, etc. But that's the story of Dogecoin. You can Google it. It's quite a fascinating read, lah. But it's
Right.
just to prove a point that you can have the eighth largest market cap in the world, and the coin started with absolutely no function.
So I could come up with a Jantan coin
You could, yeah. There's a whole bunch of insane coins out there in the market, right? I don't know why there's a Jesus coin. I don't know what it's for.
for everyone who ever says Jesus Christ. You get a coin.
Swear jar,
That's,
digital swear jar.
that's great.
Quite possibly, right?
Oh my god! But if I wanted to, I don't know, like really focus on one
Mhm.
or a few, I don't even know.
Okay.
Which ones should we be looking out for if we're thinking of even wanting to find out more? Because obviously we can't learn about all the others, right? Which ones should we just really focus on if we really kind of want to find out more?
Well, I think if you're just talking about investment, okay, then you can't go wrong with just like the top five. I mean, I look at the top three and I ignore most of the rest
Right.
because there's a saying in the community, right? A day of trading in the crypto space is 1 year in the stock market. That's
Oh my
how
god.
fast and how volatile it is. So even if you don't do day trading in crypto, you end up acting like one because it's trading 24/7, 7 days a week. Nobody sleeps when it comes to crypto trading. Um, and it's very fast. Like for a lot of people, if the stock drops by 5%, they will go into a shock. But in cryptocurrency, 5% drop is just another day. that's
Oh my
that's
god.
yeah, that's
Wow.
the kind of difference lah. So if you're looking at a lot of the smaller coins or the unknown ones as well, I will always say buyer beware because it is still a so-called cowboy town kind of thing, right?
Mm-mm.
Everything is it's the rules are not really set yet. There are
Right.
many rules that are coming in, but a lot of them are not set yet. So it is buyer beware lah. It's easier to just look at the top five. But having said that, there are also different types of blockchain tokens, right? Like cryptocurrency or payment tokens is one type. There are also things like asset tokens, which represents, let's say, property or art, like NFTs right now is the hot thing, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I've heard of that. What is that?
Okay, so NFT stands for non-fungible token. So it
Okay.
means that, like, your Bitcoin or Ethereum, it can go to 0.0001, for
Yep.
example,
Yep.
8 zeros, right? But a non-fungible token, one means one. Okay, so that's what it means by non-fungible. You can't divide it.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
NFTs are okay. So what's used for is actually to represent assets or ownerships of something. So like NFTs, the thing that was sold for 3 million US dollars at Christie's, right, was a JPEG file of an artwork called, I think, Five Everydays, 5,000 something, I can't remember.
Right.
And it's basically they sold the NFT, the token, which represents the ownership rights for that artwork.
So it's like a license.
It can be a license. So some people are using it for music.
Right.
Like the music industry and the photography industry was somewhat murdered by digital technology, right?
Right. Right.
Because everything's technically free online.
Yep.
But so how do you have a tangible form of digital rights? And NFTs are that thing lah. So some musicians are doing it. Some
Because you
people,
want to hold on to the rights of it, the value of it in a way.
correct, right? And you want to sell it and get the value for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point lah. And that right can then appreciate in value. Like I think
Okay.
the most insane NFT that was sold, to me, it was insane. It didn't make any sense. I don't know why people bought it. I think a Malaysian bought it. Someone told me.
Oh, the first tweet.
Yeah, that one.
Right. I heard
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
To me, that was insane because you can own the first tweet, yes, but you cannot change the fact that who tweeted it. You
Right.
get what I say? And I mean, but I think it's people's need to own a piece of history. Like, oh,
Right.
I own the first tweet, so that can never happen in a normal. But it's like maybe owning the first letter. Having said that, right, like the first letter ever mailed, someone would pay top dollar for it, for example. It's the same thing, right? So I want to own the first tweet. And when the original creator of the tweet passes away, that thing may go up.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
You know what I'm
Right.
trying to
Right.
say?
Right. Right.
It's to own that piece of history, and they're doing it with the digital
Then
space.
it's almost kind of like
Yeah,
baseball cards, autographed baseball cards and
they're doing
whatnot.
that as well. Autographed baseball cards are using NFTs as well.
Oh,
Actually,
damn.
collectibles, sneakers, and of course, a lot of things that these are what we call tagging. Like you tag the NFT with the physical item. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing a project for a client where we're doing on art for Malaysia, right? So it's about tagging the artwork to an NFT so that they can sell the artwork off, and there is an ownership trail. Like I owned it, and then I sold it to the next guy at a higher price. That's that trail. So that's a physical one. But I think what's driving the market crazy now is they're doing it for purely digital assets, right?
Okay.
So it started out very early on with CryptoKitties.
What's that?
CryptoKitties is basically one Ethereum would get you a digital cat, kitty, cat,
Like
right?
literal. Okay. Okay. Right.
Yeah, it's like Tamagotchi on
Right.
with cryptos, right?
Right.
It's like the same thing, but then I think that thing sold, I don't know, for like what, eight Ethereums, the highest price or something like that. So it goes quite crazy to the prices that it can go. And I think that's fueled by the fact that a lot of people who have cryptocurrencies in the market actually got it very early and very easy. Like they got it cheap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think that Bitcoin started at 0.000 something of a value, and today it's $60,000, right?
Yes.
So you can imagine that there are guys I know who have been in the game way longer than I have like they're sitting on 100 or 1,000 bitcoins,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Because they got it when it was worth nothing, right? That kind of thing, and they're sitting on that, right?
But can it do anything? It's they can't practically like they can't sell it to anybody.
Bitcoin?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
mean
can they
then or
like
now?
can they offload the entire amount that they have?
I would say that having been in the scene for a while, even in the year the quiet, so-called quiet years, right, between like 2018 2019 for first half, I was dealing with deals where people were trading privately, like 100 bitcoins or 500 bitcoins. There were people trading that. Like I would get requests all the time. Someone's trying to sell it. Can I get a buyer? Had to introduce them. They go through lawyers and stuff. I think my lawyer sold an island once for 5,000 bitcoins in the Philippines. So they
Holy
basically
shit
bought an
balls!
island with 5,000 bitcoins. This was a couple of years back, right? There's also a crypto nation, so to speak. So it's a bunch of crypto guys who ended up buying private islands around the world with their money. And then they made a country that means every one of these islands declared independence under a single rule. I don't know how official that is done, but they have a literal crypto nation. It's made up by guys who bought up private islands, right? And they give you crypto citizenship. Done by Russians, as you can imagine. So
I'm not gonna say anything right now because I know there might be Russians watching, but that's how it
I'm
is,
very
right?
good friends with Russians. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't bother me.
Oh
It's
my
just that they did
god.
it, right? So so they that exists in the crypto space. So it's a bit like that crazy thing, right? So if you can imagine some guy throwing like $10,000 on a digital cat, doesn't seem
Right.
insane after that,
That's so James Bond though. Oh my god. You know what? Because I'm just thinking, right? Because I've read that
Mm.
technically, some people have defined cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or whatever it is. It's more akin to a security than an asset, and also it's not really legal tender, is it? Yeah, people are using it to buy stuff all over the place, though.
Mm. Well,
Is it legal tender?
okay, so I would say that it depends on the country you're in. So that's the problem, right? So it started out with most countries trying to ban it, right?
Yeah,
Because it's not legal tender, because legal tender is usually issued by a sovereign government,
the
right?
central bank, right? Yeah,
And any central bank,
yeah.
which Bitcoin is not, right? But because it got so big as it did, that central banks have to, or securities commissions or financial authorities have to regulate it because they can't stop it in a way.
Mm.
Like it's gonna happen because
Couldn't ignore it because it's getting
it,
so big.
yeah, because you see, the thing about Bitcoin and why it scares probably a lot of regulators is because I believe, and don't quote me on this because I have no facts to back this up, but I
Right,
do
right.
know it happens, is that Bitcoin was at one point and probably still is the largest transaction currency in the dark web, right?
Ah,
So and it started from kind of there. So that's why there's also this negative image about Bitcoin, because in its early days, the guys who are in the dark web selling out anything from drugs to whatever in all
it's
over the
all illegal trades, basically. A lot
illegal
of it
trades, right?
illegal trades. Okay.
Right. So it because it's so easy to hide, right? So anti-money laundering laws and like KYC laws that is in most countries, Bitcoin can circumvent. So that's the issue, right? So, but having said that, this is not a new problem, and over the years they have found some way to create accountability, and a lot of it's by controlling companies who are in the business of trading it, like exchanges. Like I think when the moment the SC approved Luno, Tokenize, and Synergy to legally trade with Ringgit, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple, then it took off in Malaysia,
Right,
obviously,
right.
because now we have a government sanctioned way. So now people on the street. So does that make Bitcoin legal tender? I would say kind of. It's not legal tender, but the Securities Commission does indicate that these are the four tokens that are acceptable,
Right.
kind of thing. So
Okay.
you have to make do with that information how you would.
So basically, so far, this is what we have based on whatever is happening right now out in the Wild West.
Mm.
We studied enough about Bitcoin and the rest. You can use it to buy an island, but you can't use it to go and buy a packet of nasi lemak.
It's hard simply because of the way Bitcoin was designed. So a lot of people forget that Bitcoin was designed in 2009,
Hmm.
right? So, and to put it in perspective, if you want to transfer a Bitcoin from one wallet to another, if you're lucky, it takes a couple of minutes. If you're not lucky, it can take 7 days.
Why is that?
Because it's slow, right? It's slow. The Bitcoin network was never designed to handle that kind of transactional load, right? Even
Okay.
with all the miners that are out there in the world, it still wasn't designed because it's just based on very old tech, which is 2009, right? So it's on its aging legs, right? So and yet it now as an investment. So what people do is that they treat it more as an investment product rather than a cryptocurrency, because you're
Right.
not spending it like cash, right? There are a lot of different techs to allow people to speed up the whole transaction of Bitcoins.
Hmm.
There's many different ways, but the problem with all the variable methods of making Bitcoin faster to transact is that it requires a lot of people to use that system, right?
Right.
And getting a lot of people to use a particular system is very difficult, right?
Okay.
So and that's the challenge. So there's going to always be new cryptos who's going to be, is that most of the cryptocurrencies are way faster than Bitcoin for
Right.
transactions. So the likelihood of you using Bitcoin to buy nasi lemak to me is very slim.
Right.
right? Even in the long term. So it doesn't act very much like a cryptocurrency at this point in terms of actual use.
But it's actually just, it's very, very attractive if you want to use it as an investment. And the
Yeah.
big boys generally use Bitcoin more.
Yeah, it's a great way to move very large amounts of money that you didn't want people to see. Unfortunately, that's what most
Right,
financial
right.
authorities are worried about. But it still is, right? So you can technically, for example, there would be crypto guys who may have 100 bitcoins anywhere in the world, right?
Right.
Singapore, Indonesia, you name it. You would be surprised how much Bitcoin is in Indonesia. You just don't realize it, right? And
Why
then
is that?
well, having done work in the region, there are a lot of what we call whales, right? Whales are the guys that hoard it and in via mining. So they set up mining operations and they start hoarding Bitcoin. This has happened for years. Some of it is underground, some of it they just
Is it one of those farms that we keep hearing about in the news where it's like
mining farms. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But Malaysia has a mining farm problem. So does Indonesia and the rest of the Southeast Asia. Mainly because well, mining is a problem everywhere in the world, right?
Mm.
In terms of power usage, because the thing drinks electricity lah.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally, like powering a bloody Tesla car lah, right?
yeah, yeah,
So it drinks electricity, and the problem in Malaysia is that most mining farms, in order to make money, they don't pay the electricity,
yeah,
right? So they steal the electricity. I've seen all manner of strategies from
yeah,
friends who tells me, oh, they go and steal it from the neighbor's place lah. They go
yeah.
and
I've
dig
even
it.
read like somewhere, I don't know whether it was freaking China or what, they would set up right next to a hydroelectric dam, like
Yes,
build like
yes,
a place that has like 100,000 computers running at the same time or whatever it is, and then they just
yeah,
start mining.
yeah. China used to be huge until the government clamped it down. So they would put it in the northern parts where they would run next to hydro dams, and they would run it in the very cold areas
Yeah, keep
because
it
it
cool.
generates a lot of heat.
Correct.
Technically, if you ask me, if you combine all the Bitcoin miners together, we would cause global warming with it lah.
Holy shit.
it's
Okay.
it's actually very unenvironmental friendly to
Right.
if you're a green advocate, you would basically ban Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's one thing. And then the other thing is that if you are a gamer and if you're pissed off that you can't get any graphics card, it's also because of Bitcoin miners. And graphic cards are gone up like 3 times the price because a miner uses like 8 GPUs, right? So high-end graphics card like RTX 3080 or 2060 or whatever it is that's in the market. Basically, any graphic cards are being hoarded up by Bitcoin miners right now.
But they don't, it's just the mind. What does graphics card has have to do with
Because the mining machines uses graphic cards in order to do the processing, right? It's
right.
very power intensive. So imagine it's like you're having a desktop that has 8 RTX 380, which costs like a few grand now,
Right.
3 grand now. You can put it into one desktop, and you know how hot those things run.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so just imagine a typical mining farm would have at least 20 of those machines.
So basically, what each of these computers are doing, because way earlier, you're talking about if they're part of the game, they're part of you're loaning a computer to actually do the math and do the arithmetic to actually
Yeah,
for the grander picture, and then you get paid. So
right.
each computer is doing that, but it's like on fucking steroids.
Yes, pretty much. Yes. Because the way it works is that every miner is competing to complete the math in
Yeah.
order to create to have the right to create the block. I'm really simplifying, so
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
at me, okay?
Yeah.
But basically, it's kind of like that. So the more processing power you have, the higher the chance you get to complete the math ahead of another machine and earn that Bitcoin.
Right. Right.
Okay, you get what I mean? So
So
they
how am I
all
gonna fight against these farmers if I've got one computer? You
um,
know?
you could earn a couple of bucks.
Right.
I would say that's why I never got into Bitcoin mining.
Right.
Firstly, I'm not an advocate of the whole mining thing.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's just too much to compete against all the massive mining farms out there. Unless you really throw money at it and you are willing to do it, like what a lot of the illegal mining farms in Malaysia do, they steal electricity. So everything is a problem. Like all for the sake of that. So I never got into it lah.
But you keep, because you say illegal mining farms, but mining farms in general, they're just illegal anyway, right?
Not exactly. If you are paying the full electricity bill,
Oh, I see, right.
it's technically not illegal because there's nothing wrong with doing Bitcoin mining. You can have one CPU doing Bitcoin mining at home if you're willing to pay the bill for it. It's actually fine. There shouldn't be any issue. But of course, if you get checked by TNB, for example, whether or not they believe you, wow, you really are, you're hiding half the machines, right? Then you get harassed. We don't know lah.
Right.
It's I've heard reports of that, like guys who are doing it legitimately, getting harassed, being accused, and they can't prove it, and they get slapped with a fine, even though they said I've only got like one machine running or something like that. You know?
Right, right. And
I
they
don't
are
know
paying the
how
TNB
true.
bill anyway.
It's a story.
Right.
I can't say that I blame TNB because I think TNB has to check anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's massive. I've seen the bills for mining farm.
How much? How much?
I've seen two actual bills for us, like from TNB. It's each of them is 5 to 600,000.
What the? A
That's how
month?
much. That's how much electricity they stole. I would say a month, a mining farm would probably be about 20 to 40 grand per month. So TNB estimates how much you stole, and they throw you a giant bill. So and the giant bill comes up to 500,000 to 600,000.
Then if you're paying so much money if let's just say it's legal and then you pay it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it still even profitable to even mine Bitcoin in this case?
Here's the thing. Right now, it's damn profitable.
Oh, I see. Okay,
I would
okay.
say if you want to break even, and this is really an estimate, you probably need the the price of Bitcoin to maybe be around 12,000 US dollars to break even, right? So because now it's at 60
60.
grand,
Yeah.
that's why everyone is buying up graphics cards, and mining
Right.
actually makes them a lot of money. So that's kind of it's a very loose benchmark. So because before the halving occurred last year, from what I know from certain miners, the price of Bitcoin needs to be around 4 to 6,000 US dollars. Price of
Right.
Bitcoin in order for
Right.
it to break even and maybe make some money, right? So taking that very, very, very broad assumption, if it's at 12,000, costs 50% less mining power. The price at 12,000, you probably break even.
Right,
But now
right.
it's 60,000.
60 grand, man.
So your chance of making money is still pretty high, lah. That's why so many people are doing it.
You're 30% in the money already. Jesus Christ.
Mm.
So that means if you're a dodgy individual with a dodgy title, dodgy street title with pretty good connections and you can do this, you could pretty much get away with this.
I know I've met people who became millionaires just from mining, lah.
What
Let's
the
put it that way, lah. A lot of millionaires I've met. I'm very unfortunate because I started in the down.
Right, right,
And
right.
whatever little Bitcoin I kept since 2017. Okay, I made 10 times from it, lah. So imagine if I had more Bitcoins, right? I would
Right.
also be rolling in the money, lah. So unfortunately, I am not rolling in the money. That's all I can say.
For you
Yeah.
to be rolling in the money like Scrooge McDuck swimming in his bank vault and everything, right? When would have been the best time to get in?
If
When
you
did it
ask
even
any
start, man?
hardcore Bitcoin guy, they say the best time is always today. Because the point here is like, let's say for example today it's 60,000, right?
Yeah.
So this is the argument. A friend of mine who's been studying it just recently, he just got into it, but he's been going batshit crazy analyzing it,
Right, right.
The target price for Bitcoin by the end of this rally, which probably by the end of this year, is about 100,000.
What's a rally? What do you mean by a rally? Is it
Uptrend,
like a cycle or
because
something?
yeah, it's a cycle. So what happens is that consistently, Bitcoin, this is probably the third time, okay, we'll go through this cycle, right? So the halving occurs, which is last year, and then and build up to the halving, the price goes up a little bit, which happened, and then it kind of balances for a while, then it rallies, like it goes skyrocketing.
Also, it's like a stock market rally.
Yeah, it's the same like a stock market rally.
Right, okay.
But Bitcoin cycles are quite consistent, and then after that massive rally, it's going to crash, and then it'll stay low until the next halving. So this happened 2-3 times already. Right?
So you need to hit it at the very lowest then.
Well, I mean, if you can. So the thing here, what people say is that right now it's at 60,000. So if conservative, based on the data, rallying to 100,000 is a given, is it still late or is it still early? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So if you bought it like end of last year, which wasn't that long ago, and when it was about 10,000, at that time people said it was too expensive, but today it's 60,000.
Yeah.
Right? And then the same thing people ask, okay, now it's 60,000. Is it too expensive? Well, the potential upside is 100,000, 130,000. Stretch is about 200,000-300,000. So the question again is that too early or too late? I can't give financial advice.
Yeah.
Legally. So my answer is you got to do your own decision making when it comes to this.
It's all up to you, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately,
Not a guru.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Go back to you're not a guru, but it
Not a,
also goes back to like it's just exactly a stock market, right? When you want to buy a particular
correct.
asset or security,
Yeah.
it's really up to you and your remisier or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But so generally, number one, it's never too late to invest in crypto.
Mm. But how
How
and
much do you
when and
need to
why?
get into it?
Well, the beauty of cryptos is that because you can go up to a Satoshi. Satoshi is 8 digits lah, point zero 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 zero
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
right? So 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit.
That's what Luna was doing, right? Because if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, everybody's talking about it. I got a couple of friends who are like,
Mhm.
I got into just a couple of hundred ringgit. I'm like, what, Bitcoin, really?
Yeah, and that's the thing about fractionals, right? You can go up to 8 digits small, so you can buy very small amounts of Bitcoin, and benefit from it lah. So it the only thing is that it is very volatile. You need to have stomach for it. So like a lot of friends who go in small and then later on they go in big, and but they learn to stomach the risk. So I help a few. From my network. They are all investors. They are either very senior. The beauty of it is that, a lot of people think that crypto is a young person's game, right?
Mm-mm.
It's not. Because the people who have money are actually either retirees or they are in corporate and they have the money to try, gamble, risk it, and to get the upside. So I do help a lot of people who basically know nuts about computers,
Right.
right? How to open a wallet, that kind of thing. How do I buy Bitcoin? How do I trade
But are
it?
these seasoned investors anyway, though?
Not really.
Oh, really?
One
Okay, okay.
one thing I think about Malaysia in general is that we are very weak in investment,
Mm,
generally speaking. Like
true.
everybody understands the need of it, but everyone doesn't actually do it. It's amazing how many C-suites that I meet, and they've never done investment before. So they're very rich because their job pays them well. They run a business, but they don't actually invest. Like a lot of people I meet start investing like in their 40s or 50s, which to me is very late for us, generally speaking, right? Any
Right.
kind of investment, right? And the one investment that people seem to do a lot at a young age, and I always tell them maybe no, is buy houses.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been into that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and to me, houses, if it's your own house, you're staying there, it's not an investment. It's just a long-term liability. You have to pay until you're
Correct.
70.
Because you can't go anywhere anyway,
Can't go
because
in.
you have
You
to
can't
pay
make
for it.
money. And
Yeah.
so we are very poorly informed when it comes to investment. So and a lot of the seasoned guys are trying to trade cryptos, right?
Mm-mm.
The seniors investors, right, or older investors, so to speak. So they are going into it. They are the ones buying Bitcoin. Whereas I see young people, they may talk about it but don't do anything about it,
Yeah.
right? Even though you can buy very little. So it's a shame lah. Our youth are getting poorer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're not getting richer as the years go by. No
Yeah.
matter
And then everyone's complaining,
how
cannot
good.
buy a house. Fuck the house, man. Buy Bitcoin. What a great discussion so far, but you know what? There's so much to talk about here. We're going to have to break this into two parts. So the next section of this discussion will be coming to you soon. So please do subscribe. And remember, don't be a dick.